What is up guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I will be showing off the Tamron 14-150mm lens. Now this is a all-in-one travel lens that is meant to be your one and only lens for on-the-go travel or really just a kit lens replacement. And today I'll be testing and reviewing and showing you if this really is truly a kit lens replacement. Now what I mean by kit lens replacement is I have these lenses right here. The Olympus 40-150mm lens and the Lumix 14-42 lens. Now these lenses are the lenses I've been using since the beginning of this year, and I've been wanting a lens that can replace them because later on I'm going to be buying some pro lenses and I need to really stack down on my kit lenses because they really won't be necessary. So I went ahead and bought this lens for $130. Now that might sound cheap. This lens usually goes for $250 used, but I managed to get it for possibly the lowest price in history for this lens. So I'm going to be testing it out and showing you guys if this lens is really worth it in 2020 for your Micro Four Thirds camera. Now I'll take you to the next clip where I evaluate some things, do some testings, and I'll see you there. So in terms of build quality, the Tamron definitely wins by a lot. Now, one thing that comes with being better build quality is the Tamron lens is 100 grams more dense than the other two lenses combined, probably because the Olympus lens is literally just all plastic and it feels disgusting to hold, but the Tamron is full metal. The only plastic part is the actual zoom barrel, which you don't really see that often. And with the Panasonic, it's kind of a mix. It's kind of like a plasticky, metalish material. It's kind of just a lame excuse for metal. But the Tamron is you're getting all metal build construction except for the zoom barrel, so it's definitely going to be a more premium feeling lens compared to the kit lenses. So in terms of general picture quality, I'm going to say that the Tamron and the Panasonic are pretty much the exact same. As you can see from this side by side, if you look in detail, there might be a little bit difference on maybe some edge things, some stuff like that, but general landscape picture quality is going to be exactly the same with no differences at all. A lot of people say the Tamron is going to have chromatic aberration, but in this picture I can't really tell, but then again I haven't really gone outside, so I'll test that later on. Yeah, basically general image quality is not going to be any different from the Panasonic 14-42 and the Tamron 14-150. Okay, so regarding close-ups, the Tamron has a minimum focus distance of 0.5 meters, while the Panasonic has a minimum focus distance of 0.2 meters. Now, what this means is that in this close-up that I'm showing you all right now, is that the Panasonic is going to be really good for close-up, like not macros, but definitely more close-up shots at 14mm wide open, while the Tamron, you're not really going to be able to get that same amount. Now, this doesn't really matter too much, because most of the time when you're taking close-ups, you're going to want background blur. In that case, you're just going to zoom in to 150 and get your close-ups that way, and in that case, you're going to get even better close-ups than you are with my other Olympus lens, because that has a minimum of 0.9. Alright, so at the 42mm range on the Lumix and the Tamron, the Lumix maxes out at the 42mm range, which means that the f-stop is fully out at f5.6, which means you're getting less light into the actual sensor, rather than on the Tamron, your f-stop is at f5.0, which I don't know why it's so high, but at least it's better at that range. But now, it's not as good at 40mm on the Olympus, it is at f4.0, but then again, if you're going to want to have a 14-42 range, you're going to want to have that lower aperture rating at those focal lengths only. Now, in this picture, you can definitely tell that the Tamron has a lot more detail, and it's definitely because of that f-stop being a little bit higher. But yeah, the Tamron is definitely better for the 14-42 range. Like in all, it's definitely better for that range. Okay, so one more thing I want to mention about the Lumix and the Tamron is that the Tamron seems to to not really like to focus right sometimes, and it seems to want to search for focus, especially when I'm closer up to things. Now on the Lumix, the focus is pretty much nailed every single time. Now, it might be a downside for you, might be not. It's not really too monumental of a difference, but it's definitely something to note. Okay, so after testing the 150mm range on the Olympus and the Tamron lens, I can tell that the Tamron lens can get closer up to objects at the 150mm point and still be clear and in focus, while on the Olympus lens you always have to get back more. Now that was my theory from earlier, and looks like I'm right on that theory. So another thing is the Tamron lens, if you zoom in a little bit, it's not as sharp at 150mm, but it's not really enough to tell. And also, if you look on the Olympus lens, the colors are really not as accurate straight out of the camera. I don't know if that's just a camera thing, but there's definitely something going on where the Tamron actually, even so, it even looks brighter than the Olympus, which is even weirder because the Tamron stops at f5.8 where the Olympus is f5.6. So I don't know if this is just Olympus being a cheap lens and the Tamron being somewhat of a premium lens, but yeah, that's just my gist on the 150 wavelength, and it looks like the Tamron won this one over the Olympus, which makes sense because it's a plastic cheap lens. But yeah, just some other notes about the Tamron lens. One is it does not have weather sealing, which it feels like it should because it's Tamron and whatever, but it does not have weather sealing. So if you're wanting to shoot with this lens in the rain, which is a travel lens, so you probably will, I would caution that. I would not do it, but I would definitely think twice about it. Now, two, this lens does not have inbuilt stabilization like the Lumix lenses do, but if you're on an Olympus camera like me, it doesn't matter because your stabilization is already so good that you do not need any other type of stabilization. But yeah, that's pretty much it for build quality. I'll see you in the testing. Okay, so after some testing with this lens on a biking trip, I have noticed that the quality from this lens it's sharper outside than my other lenses, and the glass quality is actually really good. Like, as you can see at this clip, the picture that comes out is actually really good compared to my other lenses. Now, the thing is, with my Olympus lens here, the front element, which you can't see right now, but the front element has some issues with, I'll just show you. Yeah, you can't really see, but the Olympus lens has some scratching and whatever stuff in the front element, which makes it to where the middle of the lens is literally just a natural diffusion filter, which in some cases is okay, but most cases it's not that great to have. But yeah, basically this lens is much sharper. It's much sharper than both lenses really, and it's really versatile, as I said. Like, you can get 14 all the way to the 150 range. So downsides I've noticed in this clip right here, the autofocus is kind of takes a little bit longer to, you know, get into focus, but not too big of an issue. Like, if the only thing is, like, if you're in like a really fast moving shot, you might not be able to get it in time, but then again, it's really not that big of a deal. Now, some more things I've noticed, you can see in some of these clips over here that I show you, but yeah, just the versatility of this. The only thing is that this zoom dial is kind of difficult to move, rather than, like, it's like not really the best thing to do with one hand. Now, on the opposite side of this picture, the focus dial, which I'll show you a clip right now, the focus dial, like, it's almost free. Like, there's no tension in the focus dial. And the fact that they put it down here means that every time you try to use the camera, your hand is literally resting on it, and you move it and then it makes your screen all messed up. Now, that's only if you have focus finding on, which I do because sometimes I need it, but it's really annoying sometimes. That's pretty much all I can say for testing this lens. I'd say pretty much you can see from the clips it's better quality than your kit lenses, but it's not really that much different. It's just more having the benefit of being more versatile. That's pretty much the only benefit of this, and a little bit higher quality class. Alright guys, should you buy the Tamron 14 to 150mm? After all this testing, I'm going to say that I think it's better that you invest your money in the Panasonic 14 to 140mm lens. The reason I say that is because that lens has weather sealing, it has inbuilt stabilization, so if you're on a Lumix camera, you're going to benefit from that. If you don't have stabilization, that's a whole other video. But that lens has a lot more new features and upgraded things compared to this lens, and this lens is frankly just quite really a rare kind kind of lens. But yeah, I think if you want a travel all-in-one lens, I would definitely go for the Lumix lens if you have the money. Now, I wouldn't pass this up if you find a good deal on it, but I think definitely for the price it is right now, the price you can average, it's probably not worth it compared to the Lumix. Now, in reality, on Micro Four Thirds, if you're shooting anything other than like outside landscape, I would definitely go get a pro lens like the 12 to 40 from Olympus, the 40 to 150 f.2 Pro. Those are both f.2 Pros from Olympus, and I think Panasonic Lumix makes a few Pros too. The first gens of those lenses for around $300 to $400. Get one that's kind of damaged for $250 but still usable. But I think if you're gonna really want to get into photography, I think you're gonna want to go get those pro lenses. But if you want a travel all-in-one lens and you find this Tamron for a really good price, I would definitely pick it up because it is a very versatile lens. And with that information, I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.
Alright guys, so I got the Tamron here and it just died. It literally, the autofocus does not work, and it literally just does not recognize the lens anymore, guys. It doesn't show anything.
Alright, so I'm back home again, and as you saw from that clip, this lens is officially dead only 2 days later. And, well, I don't know what to do with this lens, because as you can see in this clip, it's making a bunch of noise and it's not even showing up on the screen, so I can't use this manually or anything. I'm gonna see if I can fix this, and I'll get back, but for now, this lens might not be the greatest option if this is what my experience is. I might have just gotten bad luck, but this might be your experience with this lens, so I say go ahead and get the Lumix.